Hello, it's Catherine Maley, and welcome to this presentation entitled, Are You Chasing the Wrong Patients? So here's what you're going to discover in this presentation. Which cosmetic patients respond best to you, and what's not working but is costing you a fortune, as well as the easiest ways to attract specific cosmetic patients to your practice. Now I'm going to lay out the strategies along with the samples and results so you too can attract the right cosmetic patients. Now I'm giving you lots of strategies here proven to work, and I'll be going at a pretty fast clip, and I've got a very special offer for you to help you make it even easier to execute these ideas, so stay tuned. Now, it's only going to be good for a very limited time and only for those on this webinar. Now, just in case you don't know me, because this invitation was forwarded to you, which happens a lot, I'm Catherine Maley, author of Your Aesthetic Practice and president of Cosmetic Image Marketing, where we get you more patients and more profits. Now, we do that through done-for-you marketing services, on-site practice assessment and consulting, as well as staff training. Now, I write for the trade publications and I speak at the medical conferences throughout the U.S., as well as I've spoken in London, Milan, Switzerland, Madrid, and I'm working on Australia next. Now, since year 2000, I've devoted my entire career to the plastic surgery industry, helping plastic surgeons better understand the cash-paying patients so they attract, convert, and retain more of them. Now, on a personal note, I guess I get asked a lot like where I'm based, and that would be right outside of San Francisco. It's called Sausalito, California. It has cute little white sailboats. It's got incredible helicopter rides that are breathtaking views, tours. You got to go on one. And it's got fantastic hiking. And the secret to Sausalito, if you want to visit, you must come in September and October. That's our best weather. So here are the challenges of cosmetic patient attraction, and there are quite a few of them. For starters, your market is everybody. Now that sounds really good, doesn't it? But because before, this was only for celebrities or the very affluent, and it was very mysterious and soft-spoken. There was a lot of stigma attached to it. But in today's world, it's opened up to everybody. So now you've got to deal with everybody. And the stigma has decreased dramatically thanks to, I guess, social media, and the celebrities are talking about it, and now we're all talking about it. So it's not so behind the scenes. It's much more acceptable. Now, another challenge is because the market has everybody, now everybody is everywhere. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's insane how many outlets there are, online and offline, for you to connect with new patients. So here's the problem. You don't have the time, the money, or the know-how to be everywhere. And there are going to be new media channels opening up every day online. So how are you going to handle all of that? Now what happens is that leads to too much noise for the cosmetic patient. They are absolutely inundated with messages all day long. That adds to their confusion, and it also increases, attention deficit disorder, which otherwise known as ADD. So it's really tough to get someone's attention long enough for you to actually get noticed by a cosmetic patient, be heard by them, have them stop long enough to listen to your message, and then the big one, to take action to actually contact you. There are a lot of hurdles to make that happen. Now, another big challenge is the technical advancements. Technical advancements have been the big game changer because as a plastic surgeon, everybody had to go to you for surgery to get certain things enhanced or renovated or rejuvenated. However, technology has now got a lot of the patients holding off on surgery, and they're trying less invasive procedures first. And that means they no longer need a surgeon, they just need a non-surgeon who's wooing them to try non-surgical treatments. So that what happens to you as a plastic surgeon is you either have to pay a lot to find those patients that are actually ready for surgery, or you've got to invest in a lot of non-surgical technologies, but then you're competing in a much bigger marketplace, like as with the med spas or the non-surgeon groups. Now here's another challenge, and it's an invisible one that's affecting you every day, and you may be overlooking it. When you go after everybody and you offer everything and you're the jack of all trades, you're playing the game of quantity versus quality. And that can run your staff ragged and it can lead to burnout, staff turnover, and lots of confusion. What I mean is, when you attract everybody, let's say from the internet, you now have to weed out those who are actually serious, those who actually show up for their appointment, and those who are comfortable with you in your practice so they say yes and actually give you money. That takes a huge amount of energy on your staff's part, and it's not very rewarding when they feel like they're spinning their wheels because most of the patients seem flaky. I'm sure you've heard of them say that to you. Oh, they're all looky-loos, they're all just price shoppers. If you have that, now is the time to take a look at your patient attraction plan, okay? Because here's the big takeaway. Cosmetic patients are not created equal. Each generation and gender has its own characteristics, values, attitudes, and belief systems based on their own life experiences. And that affects the way they act, the way they take in information, the way they look for information, as well as they make decisions. So let's go through some of the demographics. For example, let's start with the male cosmetic patient. I'll tell you, at the meetings, this is all they ever talk about now. This is all the vendors talk about, all the media talks about, how men are the fastest growing demographic for cosmetic enhancement. However, you have got to look at the overall numbers, which have not changed in years. Men are still only 10 to 15% of the overall revenues. So why go off on that tangent when you can simply and inexpensively tell 85% of your female patients about your services and then let them sell you on the men in their lives? Doesn't that make more sense? Now, an example I see a lot is when a surgeon buys some kind of a hair regrowth device, thinking this is going to be the next greatest thing that ever happened to his practice. It's really expensive to buy that, but it's even more expensive to market it, since you now have to find men who are losing their hair. That's a whole different ballgame. And the human characteristics of men isn't helping either. Men can be super private and they're quick when it comes to this kind of thing. And they have a major fight or flight mechanism built into them, which means if there is any pain involved, they are out of there. So here's what a typical male is saying while they're in their office. I want to get in and get out and get it done fast, right? And if you do attract a male to your practice, it's not sustainable since they are typically not sharing their beauty secrets like females do. So unless you're catering to the gay population, which by the way is excellent at grassroots marketing, but otherwise, it's not the first demographic I would invest in. I would first go with other demographics, and then when you have more time, money, and interest, then you go after some of the outliers like the men. Now let's talk about the younger patient, because this is also a tough demographic. They're young, they're multitasking, they really have attention deficit disorder. They're not at all focused on one thing. They're focused on 3 or 4 things at one time, and that makes it super tough to get their attention. Now, the characteristics of the younger patient, they're super tech savvy because they grew up with all this technology. So to them, this is second nature. Now, I find this really ironic. They're materialistic, yet they're broke. So they want the best. They want everything, actually, but they don't have any money. And they have very weak brand loyalty. Now, that's important because they're not going to make your practice grow as well as others could because they're flipping around going to anybody and everybody. So their message is they want what they don't have, which is typically breasts or lips, okay, or butts. Now their message is text me your offer and I'll see what all my friends, real or fake, say about it on my favorite social media websites. Now that's a tough message because they're not going to listen to your anything. They're not going to watch all your videos, your educational videos. They're not going to sit through your 15-page CV. They just want to know what you have to offer and, how much is it? And then they're going to go check with everybody. And they have a bunch of fake friends online because it's become a very impersonal media outlet for them. So that's tough. I mean, how are you going to get your message across in a text? That's not easy. Now, here's the good news about the younger patient. They do love to share, and that's what's so appealing to you, because to you, you're going to get thousands of hits or clicks or likes or shares, but that doesn't necessarily equal money. So all day, these kids are texting and they're sharing. But if you ask me, that means they're not working and making money. So they're never going to have money for you. And there are millions of them, but the challenge is they are all over the place. And it takes so much to get their attention. They really need memorable experiences, and then anything celebrity grabs their attention. So you have to figure that out. And of course, they want it cheap and they want it fun. And the biggest challenge with them is they don't have much money or the disposable income that you need. So they want the cheapest, and free would be even better, right? So more challenges with the younger patient is they've got the biggest no-shows, don't they? Especially the breast dog. They're one-hit wonders. They get something done and they're pretty much gone for another 20 years. And it's super competitive online. Let's just talk about breast dog for a second. Let's say you're going after the young breast dog patient because they're good. It's a nice profit margin. However, only 3% of people online are ready to buy now. The rest are just researching and fiddling around. That's an issue because everybody else is going after that breast dog patient. So you've got to put a bunch of money online to be there when they are ready for you. And then the no-shows are very well known. They're very well known for not showing up, or they give you a credit card and it's a bad card. So that's an issue that you've got to deal with. And for them, price really is more important than your skill or expertise. They just haven't been around the planet long enough to realize there's more to this than just price. And aren't they just the first to complain online? Things like, I hate to mention the word Yelp. I know you guys, or you people, you surgeons hate it, which you should, because it's very unfair. They get to say anything they want. And that's, but you have to deal with it because those patients love Yelp. They also hate email and they prefer texting. So we're back to, how do you market to somebody in a 2-line text? That's not easy. So let's move on to another demographic. I'll call them the middle-aged patient. And with them, let's just say they're mainly from age 30 to 55. Now, this demographic has more money to spend, they're fairly loyal, and they want convenience and value because a lot of them are the mommy group. They've got kids and a husband and a house they're taking care of. They might be working outside. They've got a job. And that's actually some of the good news. They've got the financial wherewithal because they might be married or they have a home with equity in it that they can spend on cosmetic services. And they're much more likely to be your practice ambassador to help you grow because they know other mommies like them. However, you see here, they distrust mass advertising. They're the ones who grew up in between the only like the 3 news stations, and then we went to reality TV and then cable TV. So, and all the political unrest that happened. So they really don't like advertising. And their message is they want back what they lost. For example, they had a hot body and now they've had some kids and they want that body back again. And I really like this group because they have emotional reasons for wanting what they want, but they also have financial reasons and social trend reasons. So they've got a lot going for them when it comes to being motivated for cosmetic rejuvenation. Now their message is, I'll research and then talk to my closest friends to see what they know, and then I'll research some more before deciding. Now that means they're looking for content. And content is blogging. That's why blogging got so popular. People want to read about you, learn about you, and not just you actually. They want to learn about what they want, which is, I want to get my body back, and then you just happen to be the the person who's going to do it for them. They love social proof. They really want to know others have done it. They want to read their stories about how others just like them had a hot body, then they had kids, then they lost their body, then they got it back. They love details. They like loyalty programs. So here's the thing. If you're going to get into content, for example, they like blogging, you can share your own patient experiences on other mommy blogging sites. There are a whole bunch of them online. And what I like about the mommy bloggers is they can have followers of hundreds of thousands of other mommies. So you're definitely going to get a lot of exposure. Obviously, they're not all going to be in your area. They're going to be all over the world. However, this is a game of numbers. So at least some of them will end up in your world. So you can actually talk to some of these bloggers, offer guest appearances, because bloggers are always looking for content. If you think about it, they have to blog every day, all day. So they're looking for content, and you could give them just that content they need, and you can become their like celebrity guest. And that's one way to do this, if you want to go after this demographic. Now, this demographic also, they are the Facebook users. They love Facebook. That's the place to go because they love to brag about their kids and brag about their lives and their vacations. But you've got to market strategically on Facebook because nobody wants to be interrupted when they're busy bragging. So here are new ways you can do it on Facebook. You can have an ad right in the mainstream. So you don't put your ad on the right side because everyone knows those are ads and they're blind to them. So do you see that first red arrow on the left? It says thinking about liposuction. You're interrupting them, but at least you might be interrupting them with something that they're really interested in. And then when they click to learn more, you're going to try to take them off Facebook, and they're not going to like that. However, if you do have a special report with education, there's a really good chance they're going to now get into this world of, tell me more about liposuction. And that's how you woo them over to your own website. Now, here's an easier and cheaper strategy for them. When somebody like this group comes in to have a cosmetic rejuvenation procedure, be sure they get an absolute fantastic experience. Have them come back for their post-op before and after photos, and then go the extra mile and actually give them their photos in a beautiful greeting card that says thank you for your trust. It's got your contact information on there, so when they do open it and show it to others, they see who did the work, and then slip in a couple referral cards for their friends and family. Now you're going to say, oh, they're very conservative. They would never show these photos to anybody. They certainly don't want them floating around. I guarantee when you hand the photos to the patient, let them decide what they want to do with those photos. You're not putting them in the mail. You're not broadcasting it. You're simply giving them their photos. I promise you, females cannot keep a secret. They will share it with at least 2 or 3 of their closest friends or family members. And this group happens to like fun patient events. When this group happens, let's call them like the Mommy Makeover group, they're the ones who are running ragged, and they do like a night out without the kids, without the husband, with some wine, with some shopping, with their friends. Fundraisers are always good. And what I like is when you have a group of mommies, they also know other mommies. They're very connected with each other. So I highly recommend trying some of these fun patient events for them. Now here's another demographic worth catering to, and that's the mature patient, of which I am one of, so I know this group very well. Here's what I like about them. This mature patient, I'll call them over 55, the beauty, pun intended, is that they have endless needs. They have been around the planet forever. So they do have wrinkles, red and brown spots, blotchy skin, crepey skin, sagging body parts, unwanted fat pockets, and it goes on and on. So her motivations and values are very different. She is the most affluent. She's the most loyal because she still thinks loyalty means something. She values personal relationships, which are good and bad, because she will stay loyal to you and come back again and again if you develop a rapport with her. However, that takes time. So you can't take this lightly. You have to allow time. You can't have that factory feeling going on in your practice. You've got to allow time to talk with them. They value quality and respect authority. I like that part a lot because they're not going to go to just anybody. They really are going to read your CV and research you. Also, the media and social trends for this group makes them want to keep what they have or get back to what they had. So they don't mind getting older, but they don't want to look old. And what I like most is they've got the financial wherewithal to invest, and they want just good old plain renovation, and those are super big ticket items. So here's what their message is. Who do I trust to be the expert, or who do I know who can refer me to someone? Now, one way to be seen as the expert is through educational pieces that are subtly bragging about your credentials, your skills, and your expertise. So I love using everything you've got. Like if you were seen in magazines, even the clinical magazines, anytime you can say as seen in, show the cover of the publication, use all of your logos that you can. Go ahead and list your long CV, and even I put together my own creative graphic here, Meet the Doctor, and it shows what board certification means as a board certified plastic surgeon, because most patients have no clue of what that really is. But if you show a graphic of all the training that went into you becoming a surgeon, it was like 14 years of training. That's a big deal. And then count up all of the facelifts you've done, or the injectables, or the surgical procedures you've done. Again, it's impressive, and that's what they want. They want to know that they are going to a skilled and expert plastic surgeon that will give them a good result. They also love to research, so they really will read your long CV and your articles, and the more the merrier. So please, if you like to write, go for it. Now, they also like old school communication, such as direct mail, but it's got to be heartfelt and it's got to be personal so they feel a connection to you. And by the way, direct mail is making a big comeback because nowhere else can you get this one-on-one contact with your patient where no other competitors are around. Because on the internet, you're going to be seen and so is everybody else. But with direct mail, it's only you. So think about that. They also like events, but they're more interested in educational events because they're really looking for somebody to perhaps, rearrange their face and body. That's a big deal. So go with education rather than the fun. So by now you're probably saying, great ideas, Catherine, but what now? Like, what's your point? And here it is, and I'm going to wrap it up in a quote. And here's the quote. The key to success is not doing more. It's doing more of what works. What I mean by that is you want to follow your successes first before you go on expensive tangents not proven to help your bottom line. And here's what I mean by that. Go check out your data. All the answers you're looking for are in your numbers. Okay? So here's an exercise that I really would appreciate you doing like today or tomorrow. Just go back and look at your last 40 surgeries or your last 40 big ticket procedures and note what was the patient's name, how did they hear about you, which procedure did they have done, what were the revenues they gave you, and what's their age, their zip code, their gender. I love this kind of information because if you'll see trends in here and now you want to follow it out, you're going to find certain people love you, so go find more of them rather than waste a bunch of money on things that aren't bringing in the money. Now, an easier thing to do if you've got the right computer software is simply pull a report called Breakdown Revenues by Procedures. Now, I'll tell you this, money is attracted to clarity. So you want to dump the losers and the distractions. For example, I circled skincare because skincare was only 1% of the overall revenues. Here's what happens with skincare. It becomes a shiny object because your staff can handle it and you don't have to get involved. However, it takes a ton of staff time doing events with the vendors, learning about the products, educating the patients on it? Is it really the best use of your time and effort when it's only 1% of your revenues? You just want to think about that and be sure that the answer is yes, because if it's not, I would focus and invest on the winners elsewhere. By the way, non-surgical is quickly catching up with surgical procedures. So, as a plastic surgeon, you've got to figure out where you're going to put your focus. So, are you going to just keep throwing money at the internet trying to find that surgery patient who's ready to go now? Or are you going to add non-surgical devices and procedures to develop that relationship early with the patient so they do turn to you when they're ready for surgery? You really have to think that through. Now here's another great report that you want to pull. Breakdown of revenues by referral source. Because here's what also happens. If you look at this chart, the internet was 46% of their referral sources, which is fantastic. But if you notice, another, 50% was word of mouth referrals and the current patients coming back for more. Only 4% was social media, magazines was 0, and then salons and spas was 3%. So again, you want to take a look and say, should we be spending a lot of our time on social media and spa and salon alliances when they're only bringing us 4%? And should we ever invest in magazines again? The answer is no. By the way, I surveyed the top practices around the United States, and here's what they came up with. 25% of their revenues, now these are established practices who have been around, 25% of their revenues came from the internet. The rest, 75%, were with referrals from the current patients and current patients coming back for more. So the point is once you know your numbers, you now know how to budget proportionately to your successes, right? So if this resonates with you and you want to market smarter rather than harder, and you want to spend less time, money, and effort, but get a better quality of patient, then I want to invite you to join me at morepatientsacademy.com. Now, this is where I lay out in great detail how to set yourself up to win. And by the way, you get all the strategies and the graphic templates I just showed you throughout this presentation. You get them all for a very special price since you're on here with me right now on this webinar. Now, More Patients Academy is called that because it includes 16 modules full of patient attraction strategies you can deploy starting today. There's strategies and their graphic files for all patients and all age groups. For example, let's say you've decided to have a holiday event this year. You watch the module called How to Hold a Patient Event That is Fun and Profitable. Now, you learn creative strategies you hadn't thought about before to make your event truly profitable and worthwhile. And then you swipe the event invitation template I've already created to use for your own event. Or you see the value in pre-framing your expertise before the patient meets you, so you watch the module How to Position the Physician as the Best Choice, and you swipe the graphics that I've created already showing your skill and expertise. Or you watch the module How to Market to All Generations Without Going Broke, and you swipe the gift certificate strategy and the matching signage graphics to use in your own practice to attract new patients through your current patients. Or you watch the module called How to Double Your Revenues This Year, and you execute the simple strategy or referral cards to spread the word about you to other preferred patients you enjoy working with. This just makes it so much easier when you don't have to reinvent the wheel each time, and your staff's going to be more excited and motivated because they've got the clarity and the focus they need to help you grow your practice strategically. So here's what you get when you join me at More Patients Academy Online Learning Center. You get 16 of my most popular online training modules ready for immediate viewing on a variety of patient attraction, staff training, practice building, and leadership topics. And not only do you get the video modules to watch, you also get the PowerPoint slides so you can follow along. And you can also swipe and deploy the scripts and the strategies straight from my materials. Because I'll tell you this, the most successful cosmetic surgery practices invest the time and the money in never-ending improvement, and they look to the experts to help them so they don't waste time reinventing the wheel and going down rabbit holes that don't lead to profits. So here are what others have said. More Patient Academy has been well worth the cost. We purchased the program specifically to provide staff training while Dr. Millard is out of the office. I also plan to use it for new employees. It's a cost-effective way to provide ongoing training without having to travel to meetings. In the first module, we had several ideas for things that we could immediately implement in order to improve conversion rates and distinguish ourselves from our competitors. I highly recommend this investment in your practice. Now, Dr. Ross said, Catherine's materials have been eye-opening for me and fascinating. They've helped me understand my patients and how they think, so I'm able to promote my aesthetic services to them effectively and professionally. I now see how important it is to get guidance on the patient's perspective so they say yes to me. Dr. Olson summed it up by saying just one of Catherine's strategies was worth more than $100,000 to us this past year. By the way, you'll find that one in some in-house signage I do that's very strategic and effective, as you can see. And then Dr. Fine wraps it up by saying, your suggestions have doubled my volume. So how much is this? Well, just so you know, my fees are $15,000 for live consulting where I come to your office to train you and set up the many processes I outline in these modules. Or you can pay $597 to buy each of these separately. And I do live online trainings throughout the year, so that adds up to $8,955. But then you're on my time rather than your time. But you get all of these training modules for one low investment of only $1997. However, because you're on this webinar with me, I want to make this extra easy for you to say yes right now. So it's only one small investment of $997. All you do is go to morepatientsacademy.com and put in a promo code HALF, and it'll automatically deduct it for you. So it's half the normal price, and now you have immediate access for a lifetime. And by the way, you get immediate access with lifetime membership. This never ends. You'll never have to pay for this again. You will have it forever, especially when anytime you want to do something, you pull out a module, or anytime a new staff member starts, give them a module to watch. So this is never ending, forever, for only $997. But you've got to act by Saturday. And not only that, I'm actually going to throw in 3 extra bonuses to make this really a no-brainer. So bonus number 1 is a free sample popular module I have called the Best Cosmetic Patient Marketing Plan. Now, it tells you exactly how to set up a consistent flow of patients and revenues, and that more than pays for this investment. Bonus number 2, I'm giving you my ebook. This book I've written several years ago, and it's been, thousands of them have now been bought, and they're out in the industry, and it's called Your Aesthetic Practice, What Your Patients Are Saying, and it's a really good read for you and your staff to really get you in the mindset of the patient rather than just you. And then bonus number 3, you actually get a strategy call with me personally because I want to guide you through this. It's a lot of information, and I want to help you with any sticking points that come up, and then we can prioritize how to get through all of that. But you've got to act now because it's going to expire on Saturday, and there's no need to wait, because I want you to dive in right away and make the changes you need in order to survive and thrive in today's world. So please do yourself a favor, do your staff a favor, do your patients a favor, and make your life a lot more fun and profitable by learning what to do to thrive and survive in today's cosmetic industry world. So just simply go to morepatientsacademy.com and put in HALF, and you automatically get it for only $997 lifetime membership. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you again.